It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Keefe. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of the program. The West Bloomfield Lakers kicked off their season on Thursday night, welcoming the Laker faithful back to the Swamp for the very first time and doing so in emphatic fashion. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from last night's game. Family fun night at West Bloomfield High School salutes the troops as the Lake Show sets sail on their 2025 campaign with an OAA-KLAA crossover, bringing the Dearborn Fordson tractors to the Swamp. West Bloomfield begins the season on defense, making quick work of the tractors, as does Fordson of the Lakers. Then Jackson Carver looks long to Obi Duru, and Hassan Almehi dives for it and just missed the opening drive pick. On the next play, it's Obi Duru on the sweep, and he's going on a long run over 80 yards deep into tractor country, setting up a short rushing touchdown for Will Espy, the first of his varsity career. Lakers take the early 7-0 lead. After more defensive prowess from the Lakers puts too much pressure on the tractors, Jackson Carver connects with Cam Hall to put the Lakers in plus territory. After some penalties set them back, Jamal Shakespeare arrives at the party, taking the pigskin into plus territory deep for West Bloomfield. That sets up another Will Espy rushing touchdown. Lakers lead by 14 after one. Early in the second, the Lakers go from land to air. Jackson Carver connects on the long ball to Willie Edwards, who takes it 67 yards into the north end zone. Lakers expand their lead to 21. Back on defense they go, and there's a mouse in the house. Ezekiel Davis comes up with the fumble recovery and dashes 55 yards to pay dirt. Lakers stretch the lead to 28-zip approaching halftime. Finally, the Tractors get some traction on offense. Dean Hamoud gets the grab and advances into the Laker red zone for the very first time. But the fun didn't last long. The Lakers making a couple of stops in the secondary, including a pass breakup from Christian Banks, 28-0 at halftime in favor of West Bloomfield. On to half number two, rushes from Joel Davis and Obi Duru set up Will Espy for a nice run and a tug-of-war win. Then Jackson Carver slices up another passing touchdown, this time to the big dog, Joel Davis. Lakers exercise the mercy rule, going up 35-0. On the ensuing Tractors drive, one of the most exciting moments of the entire opening night of high school football statewide. There's $1:38 to go in the third quarter. Awadala out of the shotgun, looking to his left side toward the sideline, deep pass, and oh my goodness! The Lakers come down with that 50-50 ball. Look at this, oh my goodness, Khalik Robinson.
Oh my, I thought that was going to be an amazing catch for Tyrone Reeves, but he rips it away from Reeves at the last minute.
I don't know what to say about an athletic play like that.
Wait.
A 50-50 ball.
They gave him the catch.
They're going to give him the catch. As we head into the fourth quarter, just over a minute later, the football gods return the favor, the other 50% swinging this way in favor of the L-Boys. Joel Evans stripping the football free, and Jamar Bray picks up the pigskin. The Lakers hold the ball for over 4 minutes before pinning Fordson deep back in their own territory, where they immediately force a safety to make it a 37-0 ball game. Fordson has to kick the ball back off to West Bloomfield after the safety, and Obi Duru decides it's his time for a close-up. Kick recovered by the Lakers at the 32-yard line. To the left sideline, now shifting back the other way. Here comes Obi Duru, past the 50, past the 45, at the sideline. Oh man, he's still going. When will it stop? It stops at the 20. A big kickoff recovery for Obi Duru puts the Lakers back in the red zone.
Directing traffic as he returned it. You see him right here the second time on that return, pushing his teammates into blocks. Just his vision and awareness with the football in his hand is incredible. And just for the second time tonight, he's just wowed you, just making something out of nothing.
That's where it would stand with a running clock and third-string quarterback Nathan Mafucci leading the charge. West B goes into victory formation and exits with another opening game routing. Final score, West Bloomfield 37, Dearborn Fordson 0. Southfield A&T comes to town on the first Friday home game of the season next week. You can follow along the entire season with West Bloomfield Laker football. CivicCenterTV.com/Lakers Sports is the place to go for all of that. Joining me now with more insight on the West Bloomfield Lakers opening victory is our Laker football color commentator, Matt Gattoni, with us on the Splash Live. Matt, good to have you on with us after a victory for the West Bloomfield Lakers to open the season.
Yep, thank you for having me, Tyler. And yep, really couldn't have gone any better than last night.
Yeah, 37-0. That's following up a year ago where the Lakers defeated Clinton Township Chippewa Valley 42-0 at home to open the season. Quite an emphatic start to 2025 for the Lakers, and a lot for Coach Hilbers and company to be happy with as they look back on week number one. I think chief among all of that was the performance of a very young offensive core that only returned 4 starters this season.
Yeah, we mentioned on the broadcast just how they were going to have to overcome or just really find a way to replace the production they lost, especially from the best wide receiver in the program's history in Elijah Durham. And last night we kind of got a glimpse at how they're going to do that, focusing a lot more on the playmakers that they have on the ground with Will Espy, Obi Duru, and Jamal Shakespeare really thriving with the ball in their hands last night.
Yeah, and Davis also getting some touches. Joel Davis, one of the primary running backs late in the game, especially those power rushes. He ended up getting quite a lot of action in the second half. Kind of in that power rush game, which we haven't seen for the Lakers in a few years. The last time they really had a running back like Joel Davis that they held in their arsenal and used quite often was Malik Mathieu years and years ago, just before and leading into the 2020 state championship game. So now they got a little bit of versatility. They've seen kind of what Ken Rise has to offer, the offensive coordinator with this particular squad in 2025. But Matt, the command at the quarterback position leading this team was also something that stood out on night number one. Jackson Carver taking the majority of the reps, looking very poised. And then Jamal Shakespeare had a rock-solid night as well, leading the charge.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the poise that Jackson Carver was able to show in his first game at the varsity level. And that was really the best part about the defense's performance. It allowed Carver to be relaxed and just kind of let the game come to him and not have to force anything. And Jamal Shakespeare looked as good as ever last night in the backfield. And that's something that's going to be an underrated aspect of this football team, having him to rely on if things can't get going on offense.
Yeah, one of the top 5 rushers on the Lakers team in 2024, and the only of those top 5 to return to the team in 2025. Obi Duru just on the outside looking in for that. And so playmakers making plays on the West Bloomfield offensive side too, and that's pretty good considering the matchup at the line was going to be something on paper that looked like a problem with such a big defensive front for the Fordson Tractors. You would think this younger offensive line was going to have some struggles, but Matt, outside of a few discipline issues here and there, some procedure penalties, some illegal shifts, by and large, they had their way with that Dearborn Fordson D-line.
Yeah, and it was really just the best part of the game was the physicality on both sides of the ball. But on offense, they were moving the offensive line was moving the defensive line, and they were able to maintain the edge and just get to the edge, which is something that is crucial for the Lakers offense, as we've seen in years past, is getting these playmakers out in space along the boundary and seeing them just take off for touchdowns.
Offense always jumps off the page. It's always what gets the headlines, especially after a 37-0 victory that puts everybody on notice as you start the season. Even the D-zone last night that had West Bloomfield ranked at number 31 coming into the season, saying West Bloomfield definitely showed that for a team that's typically been ranked preseason in the top 10 in years past, and this is one of those rare times in the last 5 to 10 years that hasn't happened. Maybe some of those pollsters got this wrong, but while the offense will jump off the page, the defensive performance, you can't overlook that. They put out a shutout against a Fordson team that's kind of matching them in terms of their veteran presence and their young talent presence on paper. They had a great performance. It started off mostly in the trenches, but Matt, the most impressive, mind you, element of that Lakers defense on night number 1 was the secondary.
Yeah, the veteran leadership is mainly in that secondary. You got Kalik Robinson, Espy, and Shakespeare all kind of getting action in the secondary, and a lot of talent on Fordson's offense with Amidala and Reeves at receiver, and the Lakers secondary was just locked down. It was very reminiscent of your no-fly zone Spartans, and just how the defense was able to come out. And they like to say that every team has a plan on offense until they get hit in the mouth. Last night, they just repeatedly kept on hitting Fordson in the mouth and throwing them off their game.
Yeah, pretty impressive, too, when you have someone like Will Espy, who's been in your secondary for a few years, and he had a relatively quiet night defensively. Did a lot of good things, kept the ball away ultimately from his man in that hat-on-hat matchup, but it was guys like Kalik Robinson, Jamal Shakespeare also having an impressive night. Robinson, Christian Banks also stepping up, one of the newer defensive backs stepping into a starting role in 2025. They made a lot of plays, and they made plays when it counted, Matt. What the Lakers did really well was once they started to see a strength emerge for the Tractors, they adjusted very quickly, especially that defensive side. Really shows the veteran presence that is there, leading the charge, communicating, and something that I talked with Will Espy and others about earlier on this week as I was preparing to call that game, and he said that's really what is the big difference maker with this particular veteran defense. They've been playing together for so long. They know how to communicate well with each other. And on top of that, they're building those relationships and have worked really hard on the chemistry with the younger players. And as you go into a tough schedule ahead, next week against Southfield A&T, not quite as tough of a matchup on paper, another program that's sort of going into a rebuild and turning a new page in their history a couple years removed from a championship. But after that, it's challenge after challenge after challenge, and arguably sort of rises up in how difficult it's going to be all throughout the rest of the season. So that chemistry being established early on could be a huge benefit for West Bloomfield in this season.
Yeah, and really what I think is going to help them out a lot on the defensive side of the ball is their defensive ends. They have two just absolute, almost, you could say, unicorns at defensive end, because you rarely see two defensive ends with the blend of size and athleticism that they have, with Jeremiah Benson being 6'4", and then Isaiah Gray being 6'5". They're able to affect passes even when they're not getting to the passer just by putting up their hands and affecting some of these throws.
And they have other players, too, that shift into those edge positions and are able to be versatile players as well. They got so much talent on that defensive end core. Joel Evans also plays a lot of that. Also, you see a little bit of Travis Robertson. We saw some Jamar Ray in there, who ended up coming up with one of the fumble recoveries for West Bloomfield last night. That's what's huge, is they're so stacked on the defensive side, and particularly in the trenches, in the OAA Red Division, with such talented offensive lines for a lot of these opponents, and really, really talented quarterbacks like Alex Wazenko for Clarkston, Jack Hendricks for Oxford, and of course Rhino Waters from Rochester Adams, who we'll see at Lakers Stadium in a couple of weeks. The Lakers being able to attack the quarterback is going to be a major difference maker come OAA Red Division play.
Yeah, we've seen just last year how important trench play is. And this year, just based on last night, it looks like they're going to be very intent on getting to spots and moving guys off their spots. And one of those guys that just absolutely thrived last night was Joel Davis, and he just looked phenomenal in both the run game as a fullback and running back at times, and on the defensive side of the ball.
What jumped off the page mostly for me last night for the Lakers was it didn't seem like anything really phased them. They got a bit of the penalty bug in a few different spots throughout the game, especially early on. It kind of crept back later on in the game as they had that commanding lead, and that expanded beyond 21, beyond 28, up to 35 points. That discipline sort of took a little bit of a back seat, but every time they ran into those issues, they'd find an answer. When Fordson was able to get the ball in the hands of Dean Hammoud and he'd make a couple of plays, pretty soon the Lakers would put a bigger focus on Hammoud. They'd shut him down. Then they'd get their running game going in the trenches. The Lakers would readjust. They'd take care of that without dropping the ball on some of those other problems that may have popped up earlier on. That's a huge difference maker from last season to this season that I observed. Matt, from your point of view, what do you believe are some of the biggest changes that are going to be a benefit to this Lakers squad come the rest of this season?
Yeah, I think the offense just appears to be more versatile in knowing what it wants to do. Last year, we kind of had that period where they didn't necessarily know what direction they were going with the offense. They couldn't necessarily get the passing game going like they wanted to. But this year, they kind of seem like they know how they can come at you in so many different ways with the weapons they have at their disposal. And like you mentioned, the short-term memory on defense, they gave up some of those big plays, but almost immediately responded with big plays of their own. Dean Hammoud got them inside the 10-yard line, and from there on, the Lakers defense only pushed them backwards.
Yeah, and so far in the OAA Red Division, the Lakers having a good start to their season. They picked up a win. A couple of their other biggest opponents picking up wins as well. Rochester Adams won last night, defeating Romeo, and then also Clarkston, a huge win in Detroit at the Amazon Prep Kickoff Classic at Wayne State, as they defeated Belleville in a routing of their own. Lake Orion taking a close loss at the Prep Kickoff Classic to Northville 14-13, and then we're going to see the results come Friday night. In Friday night's game, we'll know the result pretty soon about Oxford playing at home against Heartland. It's going to be a really tough division. Every one of these teams has had their early season test, and so far for those top three in the division after week number 1, it looks like they're all ready to make a big run. So as we look toward OAA football season, beginning with a crossover in week number 2, and then we get into the Red Division with a couple crossovers along the way with Birmingham Groves and Bloomfield Hills High Schools, respectively. The Lakers have a chance to be in the mix, and Matt, after last season where it quite literally came down to the final plays to decide Oxford as the Red Division champions, it looks like once again it's going to be up for grabs in the OAA this season.
Yeah, and you mentioned last year it coming down to just the final place, and that's the best way to summarize the Lakers' past 2 seasons. They've been right on the cusp of achieving such tremendous things and reaching these feats. The seniors seem to be very hungry and know what they have to do to get to those heights that they just barely missed out on these past 2 years.
37-0 victory for West Bloomfield to open up the regular season on a Thursday night. Here on out, throughout the fall, it is Friday night football alongside Matt Catoni. I'll be broadcasting each one of these games right here on Civic Center TV. Matt, thank you as always for your time.
Yep, thank you for having me.
You can follow along all season with the West Bloomfield Lakers on civiccentertv.com/LakersSports. Each and every Laker football game will have details on where it will broadcast, whether it's with us or other community partners throughout the local area. We know in a couple weeks that Rochester Adams game going to be on Local 4+ and state champs in their new Game of the Week partnership. So a lot of eyes already on West Bloomfield High School, especially after a stellar Week 1 performance. The football home opener was also family fun night at West Bloomfield High School, and while Mother Nature paid a visit along the way, it didn't stop the fun and the celebration. Civic Center TV's Jake Schaff has more.
It's the start of another exciting school year in West Bloomfield, which means it's that time of year for Family Fun Night, one of the most beloved traditions in all of Greater West Bloomfield. It's a captivating and engaging night where families get to come out and support the West Bloomfield School District, give back, and have a little fun while they're at it. Everyone came out here tonight to support the West Bloomfield School District, and it's touched their heart in so many different ways.
This is truly a great event. We had a short little splash of water, which made it even more fun, but this is an opportunity for all of the local community groups to get together with the community itself before a great football game, and I hope we win tonight. We should, but it really is a lot of fun, and the weather didn't slow anything down at all.
But what is it like to see so many people coming out here tonight to celebrate the school district and to celebrate the start of another great school year?
I would say it's a very exciting time because it's family fun night. I mean, the families come out here, enjoy family fun time, and it's just very, very nice and overwhelming to absolutely enjoy the company of others.
How great is it to have the community reach out and celebrate people like you and the heroes?
Heroes is an odd word for most of us that do our job, but you've got some Air Force folks down there, you've got the police down here, you got the fire service down here, you've got all of the public and first responders here tonight, and most of us don't look for thank yous, but it does feel really good when every once in a while they say, hey, we appreciate what you do. For most of us, it's just a calling, and we're happy to do it.
You know, the men and women that help keep us safe and protected are integral to make sure West Bloomfield is what it is, which is a safe and vibrant community, and we want to make sure that we respect and honor them for the work that they do.
What do you hope are the biggest things everybody takes away from being here tonight?
One thing only, that we are Laker Nation. For us, what we want to do is connect every single person in our community, from kindergarten or preschool all the way up through our seniors, and then the adults in our community as well, with our high school campus. You know, we're a central hub for the community, and we want to make sure that our students feel safe, comfortable, and excited to be Lakers.
Even as a student as me, sometimes I can feel like, oh, nobody's really looking at our school, or nobody really likes our school, because I guess that's how the mentality of is. I've been in it for 4 years now, and I get that notion that, like, well, I'm the only guy, I'm going through this, nobody really sees my, like, effort that I put in it. I need someone to at least say that, hey, this school is cool, you're doing something really great, and seeing all of this rally around my school, it really gives me a purpose, like I should do more and do more for my community.
This is sure to be the start of another exciting school year and another exciting football season with the West Bloomfield Lakers. It's always fun to see so much support here for Family Fun Night, and it leaves everybody exciting for what's to come throughout the remainder of the school year. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
If you missed out on Family Fun Night, plenty more pictures from the event on Facebook and on Instagram. Follow the West Bloomfield School District at West Bloomfield Schools for all that. Our good friend Kevin McIntosh taking a lot of those pictures in his new gig with the school district out at Family Fun Night, and a lot of fun to be had, even on a bit of a rainy night out at West Bloomfield High School, and always a good night when you have a Laker football win that follows up the big event. Nestled tightly on the shoreline of Pine Lake is a piece of history, and now the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society is giving you an inside look. Civic Center TV reporter Jake Schaff sat down with local historian Brian Golden for a special preview of a special upcoming event. Here's their conversation.
Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, my pleasure, Jake. Thank you.
Of course. Now, Pine Lake has such a rich history. Can you share a little bit about the marina's origins and its role in the community over the years?
Absolutely. That marina has been around for over 100 years, which is absolutely amazing. And the reason why I know that is because the interurban, which was a electric rail transportation system, today we would call it light rail, ran out from the city of Detroit all the way up Grand River to Orchard Lake Road. And then it ran up Orchard Lake Road into West Bloomfield Township, Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, and it ended up in Pontiac. Well, as it was passing West Bloomfield, through West Bloomfield Township, I should say, it went right by the marina, which is absolutely fantastic because it got the patrons, those that wanted to enjoy a day at the lake, an opportunity. They would hop on the interurban, and it took about 70 minutes, 80 minutes to get from downtown Detroit all the way to Pine Lake. And they could get off there. The service was continuous all day long. And so people very often would vacation there, or they had summer cottages there, very popular in Sylvan Lake, for instance, to have a cottage and use the interurban as an opportunity to get to their cottage. So it was a key area, an attraction for those that wanted to ride the interurban to use that mode of transportation instead of automobiles, mainly because the road conditions were very poor back then.
Wow, sounds like there were a lot of great uses for this program. And how would you say Pine Lake became such a hub for recreation and social gatherings in those early years?
Oh, mainly because the water. The water was the attraction. And the marina itself gave people an opportunity to hop on a boat or a canoe and be able to enjoy the refreshing day that you could spend in Pine Lake. So the marina was the hub of that kind of activity.
Awesome. Now, as we said earlier, the tour is going to be highlighting the water taxis, the camp on Pine Lake, and trolley transportation. I know it might be hard to narrow it down, but which of these stories do you find the most fascinating, Brian?
Oh, hands down, Jake. That's interurban rail transportation. It was a key to getting people from point A to point B. When you could hop on a electric trolley car in downtown Detroit, and in about an hour, it would take you to get out to Pine Lake. And because of that, the whole success of that area, be it for recreation or people purchased homes, cottages. And that was their way to get to their wonderful recreation area, and which speaks volumes because of the importance of the Pine Lake Marina. Again, because that was the hub. There was even a convenience store located at the intersection of Seminary and what is today Orchard Lake Road. And that's where, that's the location of the Pine Lake Marina. And there was a convenience store. It was called the Auto, AUTO, Auto Stop In, which is fascinating. People would if they didn't have a canoe available to them at the marina, people would use the interurban trolley car to transport it to Pine Lake. It was incredible.
It sounds incredible, and I can't wait for so many people in Greater West Bloomfield to take a look and take this journey down history firsthand. For those just joining us, I'm talking with historian Brian Golden about the Pine Lake Marina tour that's going to be taking place on September 11th with the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. Now, Brian, how do you see events like this helping to preserve and pass down local history to future generations?
Oh, it's paramount to you hit the nail on the head. It's passing along the information. A lot of people have no idea that a light rail system existed. That's number one. And number two, that it serviced Pine Lake. And it went right past the Pine Lake Marina. So because of that, it's important for people to have an understanding of how things took place back in the early 1900s, because that's where we're talking about. From 1900 to roughly 1929, those years were critical for people to be able to get around. Automobiles were a little on the expensive side back then, but more importantly, road conditions were horrendous. And that's why hopping on a light rail system like the interurban was called the Detroit United Railway. DUR was the acronym. But it was important that they be able to get to these areas. And if you're dealing with dirt roads in the springtime, forget it, because the dirt roads turn into mud. and they become impassable. That's why the interurban system came when it came and was successful all those years.
Very, very fascinating, Brian. I'm sure everyone that attends this event is going to be taking away quite a lot once they're a part of it. If you could describe Pine Lake's historical significance in just a few words, what would they be?
When it comes to recreation and the ability for people to use leisure time, because that's what the society has been coming to, Pine Lake becomes a hinge pin for that kind of activity: swimming, boating, sunbathing, water sports. Incredible.
All great things. Last question before we wrap things up, Brian. What do you hope participants will walk away with after attending the Pine Lake Marina tour on September 11th?
Oh, I know for a fact that with all of the other speakers that are presenting that evening, people will be able to walk away with a huge understanding of the importance of recreational areas, specifically the Pine Lake Marina.
Well, there's going to be so many great things to see at this tour. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
My pleasure, Jake.
Historical archives and plenty more information on events from the West Bloomfield Historical Society can be found on gwbhs.org. One of the best rising adult beverage curators in the country is right here in West Bloomfield Township. Tequila Kosher Spirits recently received top honors from a nationally recognized tequila organization, providing a spirited reception of honor for a labor of love with a family connection. I had a chance to speak with Tequila Spirits founder and owner Greg Sobel to get the whole story. Greg, thanks for joining us and congratulations on your recent awards.
Hey, Tyler. Thanks for having me on here. This is amazing.
Yeah, so happy to have you on as you were recently recognized, winning multiple 2025 Agavos Awards for your specialty tequila. That really has only been a pretty young business for you so far. So take us through this first year or so that you've been running this business and how it feels to get to the award-winning point in just that short period.
Yeah. This whole thing was something that kind of came out of just quick inspiration. When I had this idea, I thought, nobody's ever done this before. I want to make a really amazing OU certified, which is OU certified kosher, another level of purity when it comes to tequila. If you drink tequila, there's a lot of tequilas out there that are made mass production, commercialized ways that include additives, include a process that isn't authentic. And I wanted to do something that would honor my family, my mom being born and raised in Mexico City, making something that was to be proud of and something that I wanted to share with the community. And I'd bring it into our community of Detroit, Metro Detroit. And it was, the idea had hit me in September of 23. I started the journey going to Guadalajara, Jalisco in December of 23, then doing the whole process of putting it together, making this, and getting it here to be imported and received by my distributor, Imperial Beverage in Michigan, of December 24. So then the fun began and building awareness and letting people know about it. I got it out, and it was received very well. And I thought Tequila Matchmaker is a huge official database of tequila. They track everything, and they kind of are the tastemakers in a way of tequila. And when you're looking for good tequila, that's your resource. And they decided to make their inaugural Agavos Awards for only agave-based spirits. And that was, for me, I think that was amazing. I thought, nobody really knows about this. I want to introduce it. Let's get it out to them. I submitted it, and it's a blind tasting. And it's you get it in there. Everybody will submit it. Doesn't mean you're going to win. But I thought it would be a great way to have people find out about it within the industry. And when they tried it, I was so shocked that they rated specifically this Reposado, Grover, who's the founder of Tequila Matchmaker, his top 5 Reposados, the double gold winning. It made super well. The family that I work with in tequila, they own their own agave farms in Michoacan. The distillery is over 100 years old. It's made the way it should be made, and I thought it tasted great. But to know that the tequila aficionados, the best tasters in the world, trying it, thought the same. That was amazing. And the Blanco is also unbelievable. It got a silver, which is still huge for me. I couldn't believe that as well. And they taste great. They're being sold all throughout our area. Vintage on Orchard Lake has it. Benstein and Walled Lake has it. Commerce, Total Wine, Market Square, Plum Market, Nino Salvaggio. Go to Lely's, go to Zerbo's, go to Sylvan Table, and you can have these amazing cocktails with this great spirit. And not only is it additive-free, made with agave, yeast, and water only, it is OU certified kosher, just giving it that extra level of production purity. And it was really important to me. And like I said, I'm doing this to honor my family, honor my community, and give something to this, give back a little bit, do something different. So it's been amazing. So I'm really excited that you're talking about it and we're sharing it.
Let's dive deeper into that family connection. You mentioned that a lot of this is inspired by your mother. She's from Mexico City. You also wanted to bring your Jewish heritage into it, make this a fully kosher spirit as well. And as you mentioned, it's gone through the certification process with Orthodox Union. So how did that family connection inspire you not only to start this business, but the way that you operate it and create this now nationally recognized product?
Yeah, so the unique thing about tequila is it comes from the Jewish New Year, which is about to happen September 23rd this year. Jewish New Year is Rosh Hashanah. So when you call in the new year, the thing you say is tequila, and it is the loudest sound you make with the loudest shofar blast that you make to usher in the new year. And it's a call to action, getting your attention. That's what really sparked it all. I thought, that's great. I wanted to get, as a gift, a tequila for, let's say, a rabbi, and I was not a really good Jewish branded tequila, like a Manischewitz of tequila. And, my family being from Mexico is the Mexican spirit is tequila. I thought this makes sense on top of the fact that tequila is so much better for you as far as if you're consuming alcohol. Tequila has the least amount of effects. It's the least amount of sugar. It's the most... it helps your body. Like you don't feel as bad when you drink it. It's the least impact on your body from the agave itself. It's just a better source. So I leaned towards it, and then I had this idea that I couldn't find a Jewish branded tequila, and I thought, well, why isn't that? And then my family being from Mexico City, it's a big community, and people don't really understand that there's a large Jewish community there. And I thought, this is a way to honor the memory of my mother, the memory of all of our family and where we come from, the honor, the way that tequila is produced and made, and the people that it's so much work that goes into a bottle, and do it something in a way that's different, the first Jewish branded tequila, and make sure that it is an OU certified kosher tequila, because the Orthodox Union is the most globally recognized texture, kosher certification that you'll find out there. And that when you see that, it's undeniable. It went through the process I had to go through, make sure the entire manufacturing process of the distillery was compliant, and everything that we were using and how we were barreling and everything met the criteria. So it was a process, and a lot of people don't think that there's value in doing that, but I thought there was a big value of taking that extra step. So got it here, and I honestly had the idea in a split second. So everything in my mind was already developed. I just had to go figure out how to make it, where to make it, and then get it here. So in that time, it was about a year process of doing it all and going through the legalities and logistics and, trademarking everything, the name, the trademarks of the logo and the Hamsa. Mm-hmm. It tells a story within that logo. Sorry, I get it back. You can see the agave, the tree of life, the shofar, the temples of Jerusalem, the Temple Mount, the most sacred place on earth, basically, for most people. And it's like, it means a lot. So that's where my motivation came from. And I figure I can start small, slow and steady, and get it out there. But never would I have thought on the top of that the tequila industry would try it and give it such high marks and really, give it a boost like that. So my goal is to just only grow it from here, slow and steady. And
So-
more people that try it, the more people will realize it. It's a really amazing tequila. So
then, Greg, what's next for your business after this really prolific first couple of years from the idea generation to this point we're at now? What's next on the docket for Tequila Spirits?
sure. I'm going down to Mexico again this September. We are bottling the next expression, Añejo. So the Blanco is just a pure agave tequila. It's never been aged, just made super well. Then you take that Blanco, you put it in a barrel, becomes a reposado, rested for 4 months in that white oak American whiskey barrel. The other tequila that's been resting is going to be resting for more than 14 months, and that becomes Añejo. And we're going to bottle that and bring it up for the holidays. I'm continuing to do more events, really spread the concept of L'Chaim and celebrating, who we are together, community, and everybody being positive and just having a good experience and celebrating life together. And that's what I want to continue to impart in this and then grow this. And I'll be doing events in Florida. We'll be getting out more in Ohio. We've done some things, and then beyond. I'm sure I've had some interest already from Portland and Maryland and Connecticut, and I sell online. So anybody that's not in Michigan that can't go to these amazing restaurants or our local stores, you can go to buy.tequilaspirits.com and go ahead and pick up bottles. I'll ship it everywhere around the country. And with the new year coming in September 23rd, when we celebrate Rosh Hashanah, honestly, you can't have Rosh Hashanah without a tequila. So here's your tequila, and you have a great sweet new year with apples and honey and a little bit of a L'Chaim with tequila kosher spirits. And I think it's going to be great. Again, it's just being positive and celebrating who we are in the community. And that's the message.
Couldn't have said it much better myself. Greg, congratulations once again on these honors at the recent Agave Awards, and thank you so much for joining us and telling us your story today.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I love it. This is what it's all about, our community and where we are, and the people, and celebrating that. And I really appreciate you having me on here.
Always glad to. You can find even more information on tequilaspirits.com, as well as follow them on Facebook at Tequila Spirits and on Instagram at Tequila. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. On the other side, we're a week into the new school year, but still plenty to adjust to for kids, for families, and for others all across the community. We'll hear from the West Bloomfield Police Department for some safety tips after this. Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Hi, I'm Marcia Gershenson, and I'm one of the Oakland County Commissioners that's lucky enough to represent West Bloomfield. And I'd like to congratulate Civic Center TV on having 1 million viewers on YouTube. I mean, that's incredible. Your viewpoint and your authenticity is so valuable. So congratulations on 1 million views. I'm proud to be one in a million.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
bringing you stories and memories from Sylvan Lake. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. And now, back to the Splash, live.
Live, local, social, welcome back to the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Kieft. Thank you for joining us as we begin our Labor Day weekend. Back to school is here, and as families are getting the kids back into the classroom each and every day, the community takes on a renewed responsibility out on the road and throughout the local area. I was recently joined right here on the Splash by Police Officer Zena Daly from the West Bloomfield Police Department, who had some helpful tips for families to keep their kids safe at the bus stop, as well as some insight into how the greater community can contribute to a safe school year. Officer Daly, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Tyler.
Yeah, happy to have you on. It's an exciting time of the year. We get our kids back in the classroom. The fall's on its way.
Right.
School's back in session. But that comes with a lot of safety concerns because we've had these kids out and about either at camp or they've been at home all summer. The buses haven't been on the road. It hasn't been as busy necessarily. And now we get the kids back into the swing of things. It impacts everybody's schedule, whether you're a parent or not. So what are some of the most important factors that the community should be considering from a safety standpoint as we get those kids back in the classroom?
Yep, you are right. We are getting back in the swing of things, and that means you're going to start seeing kids walking early in the morning as it gets dark in the morning. You're going to see kids riding their bikes and getting to and from the bus stop. So I guess I'll start with our kids that are walking. If you have young kids, I really urge parents to find a safe walking route that they practice until their child knows that route before school starts. And if possible, sometimes these kids are taking routes and they're taking these walks on their own because their parents have to go into work so early, or they have other obligations going on. But if it's possible, I would say try to find a group, a friend to walk with them. If you don't have a couple of kids in your neighborhood or a couple of streets around you, see what you could do about talking to school about kids that maybe you don't know that well that are in the same school and taking that same route. Try to connect with those parents and get those kids together so they're not walking alone. And then, of course, I would make sure you're teaching them as they're walking home from school, both to and from school, if a car approaches them, how they should respond, and when they get to school or when they get home, to tell a trusted adult, hey, this happened. I want to get as much information from the child and report that so that we're aware of it and we can put something out and also patrol that area a little more than we already are as those kids are walking to and from school. You want to make sure that, I know West Bloomfield has a lot of streets that don't have sidewalks, but if we do have sidewalks on the streets that you're taking, I urge those kids to use the sidewalks as much as possible and take a route that avoids as many intersections as possible. And then you're going to see, along with these walkers, is all the new kids that are driving, the high school kids that are driving to and from school, and sometimes are running late. Parents included, running late to work, running late to get their kids to school, and we're rushing a little bit. We're not paying attention, and we have those walkers and the kids that are riding their bikes to school. So we want to make sure that we are slowing down. We are aware at every stop sign and crosswalk if there are kids that are coming to and from through those crosswalks. And you want to make sure that our new drivers especially are following all the rules of the road so that they are not rushing through any stop signs where kids are crossing or at the bus stop, because sometimes you'll see some of those kids standing too close to the curb waiting for the bus, which leads me to our bus safety. So we have kids that are walking to the bus, again, on their own, and they're a lot of times rushing to get there. They're running late. You want to make sure that you are not running to the bus. That those drivers are aware. They see you. They will wait for you. And a lot of times those kids are telling me, hey, so-and-so is catching up, they'll be here in a second. Don't rush, don't run to the bus, and make sure that bus is stopped before you're actually approaching that door. That driver will open the door, and that is your cue to then get in. And walking up to that door any sooner is not going to help you get in that bus until he or she opens that door. So, and then once you're in the bus, you want to, and I'm sorry, I'm going to back up a little bit before you get in the bus. You want to make sure that while you're waiting there and you're on time, that you are away from that curb. You don't want to stand too close where the bus is going to approach and where cars are still driving through and making turns. Sometimes those turns are a little tight and they're a little too close to the curb. You want to make sure your kids are safe enough and far back. And then once you're in the bus, parents, you want to make sure you're telling your kids to stay seated. If there's seatbelts, let's use those, and keep the volume down so that we're not distracting our drivers. Going back a little bit, Tyler, to our drivers that are actually driving to and from school, when you do see a bus stopped and they have their red lights flashing, their stop sign out, you have to stop. Do not go around that bus. You want to make sure that those kids that are crossing to get onto that bus are not in any danger of getting hit.
And of course, there's so much to consider with age of the kids also. From the elementary age, middle school, high school kids, there's always some different considerations in there. But there are some similarities. There's some goofing off more with the middle schoolers and the high schoolers at the bus stop, or as they're walking home from the bus stop, or as they're walking home from school, versus the elementary school kids who are just looking for some playtime to fill that dead time between when they get to the bus stop and when the bus actually gets there. So from a parent's side of things, what should they be talking to, especially those younger kids who are going to be at the bus stop? How should that factor in to their training, to their walkthroughs? What to do when you're at the actual bus stop and waiting?
So like I said, that's when you want to make sure you're teaching them, hey, it's okay, I know you guys are waiting, you want to have fun, and that is all okay, but you want to make sure you're doing that away from the curb, as far away from the street as possible. Like I would say walk 6 to 10 steps back away from that curb. That bus driver will see you, you will see when they're approaching, and you are not in danger as you're playing around. Kids get, they're pushing around, they're running around. You're not getting close to that curve if you're 10 feet away from it.
Yeah, always good advice, too. And we go back to the high school kids and maybe driving in for the first time. It's not only a factor of them needing to be on time, maybe leave a few minutes earlier, avoid speeding, as you mentioned earlier on, but sometimes they're also going to be carpooling with some of their friends, whether it's to school or after school to other activities. How should that factor into the conversation with parents from a safety standpoint, and what steps they need to be taking to keep themselves focused on the road and eliminate hazards that come from being a new driver and being distracted by friends and other things happening in the vehicle?
Great question. And what you just said is to avoid that distraction, stay off your electronics, pay attention to the road. Again, like I said, in West Bloomfield, we have a lot of streets that don't have sidewalks. And so you have kids that are walking, that are on the road. So you want to make sure you are paying attention and you're driving slow. Give yourself enough time, leave home. And I know that there are times where we just wake up late, but rushing to save that 2-3 minutes will do you no good. You're going to be late regardless. At the very least, you're at least being safe, and you know that you are not putting anyone else, not yourself or anyone else, in danger.
All good advice. There's even more of that on the Facebook page of the West Bloomfield Police Department at West Bloomfield PD. Officer Zena Daly is joining us on today's edition of the Splash Live. There's also considerations for the rest of the community as well. Parents and kids certainly play a very big role in back-to-school safety. But for those of us that don't have kids, we're not going to and from the schools at all throughout the regular school year. What factors should we be considering as we head back to the school season to make sure we're keeping those kids and those families safe during the school year?
That's when you approach those school zones where the speed limit drops a little bit. You'll see that around all of our schools. So just pay attention when those lights are flashing. There are times those are restricted for. So I would pay attention to that and slow down, because you have kids crossing the main road. You have West Bloomfield Middle School, you are crossing the main road. Same with the high school. So, and I urge parents to make sure their kids are crossing at the light, at the crosswalks. But there are times where these kids will just cross. And so we, as the drivers, have to be careful. We have to be vigilant and pay attention.
Always a good idea to be doing that, even throughout the rest of the season. When it's not kids running across the road, it's going to be a deer. So, hey, good practice in that school year and school zone anyway. Officer Daly, before we let you go, any final advice for parents, for kids, and for the community as we focus on back-to-school safety?
Parents, I would have those talks with your kids from elementary to high school. And like I said, it goes from walking and being safe and how to handle what happens if you're approached by another vehicle, that someone that you don't know, a stranger, to the high school kids who are driving. And even if this is your third year driving, you still want to be careful and make sure that you are having that conversation of stay off your electronics, pay attention, and slow down.
We always appreciate the advice from the West Bloomfield Police Department. The community can get even more by calling their non-emergency number or visiting them on Facebook at West Bloomfield PD. Zena, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That's our show. I want to remind you that television that's close to home is always online on civiccentertv.com and across our social media. Big thank you to our entire crew for making this program possible, and of course to you for joining in each and every day. For our entire team, I'm Tyler Kieft, live, local, social. This has been The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.